How many million-dollar ideas have you lost because you didn't write them down fast enough? For me, it used to be a graveyard of ideas. I'm an instructional designer and my brain is chaotic. My best thoughts happen when I'm walking or at the gym. But stopping to type on a screen kills the flow. Siri is useless for complex thoughts and regular notes are just black holes. You record them, but you never listen to them again. So I built a system. I speak and 10 seconds later, it is a structured, summarized entry in my Notion. But here is the twist. I stopped using OpenAI for this. Today, I will show you why I switched to Google Gemini to make it faster, cheaper, and smarter. Let's go to the lab. First, we need an interface. We're using Telegram because it is fast and reliable. Open Telegram and search for Botfather. This is the official tool to create bots. Let's click Start, and here we will have all the comments. What we need to do is we need to create a new bot. So we can copy or we can just type new bot. Let's type a unique name. For example, let's try Ruslan Lab Bot. All right, done. Now we have a new bot and we have a token to access. It is like a password. Please don't share it with anyone, and I'm gonna delete it right after our recording today. Next, we need a brain. We aren't using OpenAI today, so what we are gonna do, we are going to Google AI Studio. Why? Because Gemini 2.5 Flash is incredibly fast, cheap, it's basically free for personal use, and crucially, it has a native audio support. So it hears your file directly without needing a separate transcription step. So let's just grab our API here. So how do we set up here? We go to Get API Key, then we create API key, Gemini API key, we can say Ruslan Lab Test. I'm gonna delete this key later, so don't try to copy it yet. Create key. Here we have Ruslan Lab Test. All right, so by now we have token from Botfather. Next, we have our API key from Google AI Studio. And now the last thing what we're gonna get the access to is our Notion. So Notion is going to be our destination. So we are opening Notion now and creating a new database, or we can use an existing database. What I've done already, we have to click these three dots here, connections, and we are clicking manage connections. Here I already have some connections, but we need to create a new one. So we are going to go to develop or manage integrations, and it will send us then to a browser where we add a new integration. Let's do it now together. Integration name is Ruslan Lab associated workspace. Let's choose our workspace. Type internal. We don't have to do logo yet, so we just save it. Right. What we do next? Here we have our integrational secret key. We will need it later for n8n. Let's move to the next step. So most people actually fail here. When we go back to Notion and we go back to our database which we are using, we actually need to give this page a permission to connect to n8n. So what we do next is we go to connections, we add connection, and we search for our just created connection, Ruslan Lab. So yeah, we connected. Before we used to have two, now we had the third one. Great. Let's continue. Now let's connect the wires. We're going to be using n8n because it's powerful and visual. You can basically run this on their cloud, what I do currently right now, or you can write it on your server yourself. You can host it and run it from there. So how it actually works. So first we have a trigger, and it's going to be Telegram. Then it's gonna indicate if it is actually an audio or not. If it is just a text, nothing is happening, it is false. If it is an audio, then it gets the file which we send, gets basically the audio. Then it sends to Google Gemini to analyze it and to transcribe it. We also have our prompt here. Then we're using code in JavaScript. Why? Because Notion sometimes is very picky to the format which Google Gemini provides us. So we need to format it accordingly. I will show you the prompt which I'm using. And then we send everything what we got and what we actually put into place to our database. So that's basically the full workflow. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a new workflow. We go to our homepage and we're just clicking create new workflow. We have a very empty page here. We add the Telegram trigger node. So we add the first step. We are looking for Telegram. We're choosing on message. We need to choose a Telegram account. I already have a connected Telegram account, but we can try and create a new credential because we actually created already our access token. We are using this token to connect it to Telegram. All right, so access token, save, and here we'll have a message that credential successfully created, connection tested successfully, so it means that it's connected. What we're going to do now, we are going back to our Telegram and we are looking for our bot. So here we have our bot. What we will do now is we will start and we will record our test audio, testing the system. I need to buy milk and finish the script. All right, we have our audio. Our Telegram trigger is not pairing the data yet because we haven't published. It's not a problem. We don't want to use our free executions on a free tier. When we press execute workflow, it's going to parse all the data with our Telegram and we are going to actually get the audio, but we're not going to be using our executions free tokens. So let's try execute the workflow. Yeah, workflow executed successfully. If we go back to this node, we will see our output. Output is basically what we got from Telegram, from here. What we're going to do next is we're going to let the system understand if it is an audio or not, because sometimes we can use the same bot for different purposes, and sometimes we want to write the text and it's going to be absolutely different workflow. But for this workflow, we are using audio, so we want it to understand that, okay, I'm going to be working with the audio only. We're going to look for if. Route items to different branches, true or false. We're choosing it. So now what we're looking for is basically we want this node to understand if it is a voice message or not. When it is a voice message, we will have this voice identity here, and what we need to do is we have all the information about this voice, the duration. We don't need anything but file ID. So we are putting it here. So we see voice file ID JSON and choose the string. It's not empty. It's not empty because if it is a text, we wouldn't have this file ID. So basically it will be empty. So if it is not empty, then it is true, and that it's gonna navigate us to the next step in our workflow. All right, we can close it. We can see that node configuration changed, so we will have to run it from the very beginning. But here is the little secret. If you don't want always, how I've already done, to record many different audios and just use already parsed audio and already parsed data, we can just right click and here we choose pin. So in this case, when we pin it, all the rest nodes starting from here, they're going to be using all the same data. So they're going to be using all the same audio as if we recorded it once again. It really helps when we have a very long workflow and we don't want always to re-record or to reparse the data. So let's choose it and we execute the workflow. All right, we see that if is done. The next node is going to be Telegram to get the file. So we again choose Telegram and we choose get a file. So from here, we already have all the input from the previous node. Now we're going to set up everything here. We already have credentials to connect with, our credentials that we've already done. We don't have to change anything. And now the operation is to get, we're not changing anything. File ID is we are getting the file ID from here. Absolutely the same what we've done earlier. So it's going to get file ID and it's going to download our audio file from Telegram to the system. So if we execute the step, we can see that here, node executed successfully, we have one item which is called data. Right, we finished here. If sometimes it just looks a little bit messy, we can click this button to tidy it up, and it's going to tidy it up and also center it for your convenience. So next, we are going to use our magic tool, Google Gemini. I'm not using OpenAI because if we wanted to use OpenAI, we would actually have two different nodes. The first node is to transcribe the file, and the next node is to work with that file. So we would actually need to add additional connection. First, it costs more money. Second, it takes more time, and sometimes in the workflow there might be mistakes. We want to avoid it. We want to make this workflow as simple as possible. So next, as I mentioned, we're searching for Gemini. We're choosing Google Gemini, analyze audio. So we don't choose transcribe because otherwise we would have to add additional one. Here, analyze audio. By analyzing audio, it automatically transcribes it and analyzes it at the same time. So we're choosing it here. So credentials. First thing that we need to do, I already have my credential connected, but I'm going to connect a new one, which we've already created. So here we are going back to our Google Gemini, and we are copying our API key, Ruslan Lab Test. It's copied. We paste it here. We save it. We see connection tested successfully, so it means it works and it is successfully connected. Resource is audio. Yes, we are working with an audio. Model 2.5 Flash. It is relatively cheap. For personal use, it is good enough. Next thing is text input. For here, we are going to be putting our prompt. And the prompt can be absolutely different. You may even create the prompt by yourself. You don't have to copy exactly my prompt, but I'm going to be sharing with you, of course, the prompt which I'm using. So in the future, you can just adopt to your own needs. So here I'm already going to paste a ready prompt. I'm going to include this prompt in the description for this audio, so make sure to check it. So input type is very important. Here we need to change audio to binary files. So binary files is basically, it's going to be using the input from the previous node. And input data file name is data. Make sure that the name here should be absolutely the same as name here. Now let's try to execute the step. Okay, so perfect. We have our output, but as we see, it's in one huge chunk, in one huge text. If we send it to Notion, it's just gonna get mental and it will never probably get your requirement nice. I've tried it and it really didn't happen well. So the next step, which we are going to actually do, is by adding a special JavaScript code. It helps me to separate this huge text into chunks, into blocks, so later Notion can parse it easily. Actually, here we can also pin, because we don't want this process over and over again. We see that everything works here. Google Gemini, we don't want to use our credits just for nothing. So we see everything works here, we pin it, now we continue with the next step. The next step is going to be JavaScript. So code, yeah, we use JavaScript, not Python yet. Code in JavaScript. And here we can easily delete everything. And I'm going to provide you with a JavaScript code. Here we go. All right, let's try to do that. So you see, we had this huge chunk of text, and with the help of this code in JavaScript, we created a very nice and simple title. We provided the summary, we provided expansion, then there is a knowledge bridge, and then there is a transcript itself. So this is what I was recording in the audio for 7 seconds. Let's move to the next step. Now, because we understand that everything works perfectly well until now, we can also pin it here. So we are searching for Notion, and what we need to do is we actually need to create a page. But you remember, because we connected a database, we want this page to be created within our database, right in here. Because if not, you would just randomly create a page somewhere out of database. So for these purposes, let's just create a database page. If you don't use any database, choose create a page. It's not a problem. It's just gonna create a page in your Notion out of database. Here we are choosing create a database. Now let's create a new credential. So we show and copy this secret. Yeah, we are pasting it here. We're saving credential successfully created, connection tested successful. So it means it works well. Here we can choose which database we want. Make sure that, as I've mentioned earlier, we need to connect our n8n with this database. Only after that you will see this database here. So here we go. Here there is a database. If you want to check it, if it is the correct one, you can just open up in the new window. Now we are gonna parsing all the data from the previous node and creating, let's say, a structure of how we want our page to look like here. So the title, yes, of course, we're going to be using this title from here. Now, the most important part is blocks. So we are going to be adding different blocks step by step. The first one is summary. And first, I want to add some kind of heading. Let's use a heading 3, and let's name it summary, the same. But you can add it as you like. You could even put any emojis or whatsoever. This is always going to be the same. And after that, we want to actually put our paragraph of the summary in here. So we are adding it here. Yeah, done. Now we are going to proceed with all the rest of the blocks, for example, expansion, knowledge bridge, and transcript, step by step. We are also creating a next heading. We would actually use, let's say, like AI expansion. So we understand that, okay, it was generated by AI and it gave us some more data here. Let us get more information based on that. So we put it here for the paragraph. And finally, we would like to see our transcript just for further notice, for the further use. But you know, sometimes transcript can be really long and we don't want to break anything. The Notion, it doesn't let us parse more than 2000 symbols within one block. So to avoid any mistakes, if our transcript is too long, we are going to use a special JavaScript here. If the script is longer than 1999, it's just going to stop there. It's going to slice it and the rest is going to throw away. Let's try. Execute this step. Let's see if there is going to be any success. Yeah, not executed successfully. So everything from here is now in the output, and the output is where? Yeah, it is in our Notion. So when we open it here, we see our quick capture system test, right? It was the name, the title, the summary. We see that we have nice titles, we have a nice summary, AI expansion, everything what we actually needed, and the transcript itself. Testing the system, I need to buy milk and finish the script. That's perfect, guys. I feel like we've done something amazing. It works perfectly. Alright, so let's now go through the demo. I want us to test everything from the scratch, so we unpin anything, we don't use anything, we unpin our trigger, and we will try to test it step by step. Okay, idea for a video. The concept of productivity guilt. Why do we feel bad when we rest? Connect this to the concept of deep work by Cole Newport and suggest that rest is actually part of the work, not the opposite of it. Let's press execute workflow. We see that it is already here. How many seconds it was? Like 1-2 seconds until it reached Google Gemini. Google Gemini works with these around like 5-10 seconds, I think. Yeah. Now it separates all the data and creates a new data page. Yeah, it's successful. Let's now check what we have here. Bang! We have our new node, the productive power of rest. Let's see what it's done with this summary. I mean, like, guys, you can go through it and you can see how AI actually helps us to think further on what we've recorded here. Nicely done, knowledge bridge. Okay, so it actually uses Cole Newport's deep work, what we've just said in our audio, and transcript itself. This system costs pennies to run thanks to Gemini's pricing, but the value, it's priceless. It removes that friction between thinking and capturing. When you remove friction, you stop being stressed data entry clerk for your life. You start being finally a creator. I've put the full workflow template in the description below, as well as the JavaScript, so you can just import it and use it. If you want to see how I automate my emails next, please hit the subscribe. See you in the lab.